Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. And our topic for this week is about the select tool and the shape tool. And so if you're ready to get started, let's go ahead and pop over onto my Floriani desktop. And I've already opened up the shape of an apple. And of course, it's filled with embroidery stitches. And so this is the tools that I'm talking about over here on the left, in the kind of red tool group up at the top. You've got your select tool. I guess below that, there's a lasso selection tool. And then below that, you've got your shape tool. And notice the shape tool is currently dim or kind of grayed out. And that simply means you need to do something before you can use that tool. And what that means is you need to use your select tool to click on the shape and select it. And you'll know it's selected because it gets the box around the outside. And it also gets a highlight color, which of course would be optional. Because if you look in your program preferences, and just to divert for a minute, up here at the top in the program preferences, now this will be on the view tab. And notice there's a thing at the top that says the highlight selection. So what color do you want to highlight it? And in the tree, what color do you want to highlight? And those can be different. So if you're working on a design that has 10 shades of blue, this blue might not be convenient for you, for highlighting, and you might want to choose a different color for your highlight color. And then when you select things, they can be whatever color you choose. And if you click on the empty workspace, you'll let go. So notice, click to select and click to deselect. If I click and drag a box, whatever's inside my box gets selected. So notice when this is selected that the box that transforms, that holds around it, um, it has little symbols on the outside. X is for delete. This one here is to go directly into the shape tool. Actually, I said it wrong. That is to close the shape. Um, However, if I look on this side here, it's zoom. So if you have a design, it has a lot of shapes. And notice, if I just zoom out a little bit, there's a copy symbol. This is the one to go into the shape tool. So our shape tool is kind of a different way of editing a shape. So when you use your select tool, you get this box around the outside. This icon is for a right click. This one would be to lock the shape. And this one is actually to close the shape. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. So these are your nudge tools. And so, for example, I can click here to gently nudge it to the right or gently nudge it to the left. And those would be like micro amounts. Um, so when you're on the select tool, this is what it will look like. But if you change to the shape tool, notice when I click on the shape tool, my transform box went away. And I now have the blue points that make up my shape. I have the green entry point and the red exit point. This is where it will start sewing, and you can move it to any location on the shape. And this is where it will finish sewing, and you can move that to any location on the shape. And when you hit apply or right click, that will update the stitching. You also have this yellow line that has kind of black little anchors on the end of it that you can use to adjust the stitch direction. And so when you change between the shape tool and the select tool, you'll notice right away that when you go back to the select tool, it looks different. And when you're in select mode, you can do things like move your selection to a new location, or go on a corner handle and resize it to be smaller or larger. And if you used a side handle in between the corners, it would squish or stretch your shape to be different proportions. So you've got little highlights, little quick tools like zoom in, or um, copy. would be the one. Sorry, I went the wrong way here. I can zoom with my mouse because I have a wheel on my mouse. So if you see me zooming and you don't see me, for example, clicking on the zoom icon, then it's probably because I have zoomed with my cursor, on with the wheel on my mouse. Here's the copy option, and if I click copy, we'll have two of the same shape. And so notice that I can click on either one to select either one. And I can also select them using the sequence view on the right-hand side. If I want to select both shapes, then I can click and drag a box and it will select whatever is within my rectangle. Now they need to be fully within the rectangle. So for example, let's just make a few more apples here and put them over to the side like this. And so I'll click to let go. And now what we'll do is I'll draw a selection box, and notice that if I don't fully surround the second two apples, in fact, I'll surround 3 of the 4 apples. And so 3 apples become selected and the 4th one did not. And so that's kind of how that select tool works. Of course, you can come to your sequence view and see the ones that are selected because they have the blue highlight color. If I hold the control key down on my keyboard, I can click to add that 4th apple to the selection and it will highlight on my screen. And like always, if I click on the empty workspace, it will let go. So the other thing that's interesting about the shape, so to be able to use the shape tool, you first need to select one of these apples. And you'll notice that if you select 2 apples, it will go gray again. So notice with 1 apple, I can change into shape mode, but shape mode is a tool that you will use specifically for one shape at a time. Now, if I use my select tool and select, let's say, 2 apples, the reason it doesn't allow me to shape is because we've selected more than one shape, and therefore the shape tool is grayed out. So if you're trying to use the shape tool, you need to specifically choose the sort of individual apple shape that you want to edit. And when you have it selected and you'll know it's selected because there's the transformation box, then you click on your shape tool and that will give you all of the points. I want to point out one more thing, and that is when I go into shape mode, my toolbar at the top changes. So notice if I go to select mode, that when the icon, when the shape is selected in shape mode, the toolbar at the top has icons like undo or group and ungrouper here, add outlines. But right here, there's the icon to go to shape mode. So that's interesting. You have within your sort of floating toolbar, the ability to go to shape mode as well. And when you choose it to go into shape mode, then notice that the toolbar at the top changes and has icons that relate to things that you could do while in shape mode, specifically to turn on and off the outlines. So that's the pink highlight outline color could be hidden, on, or off. The next icon beside that is view inclinations. So that is the yellow line. And so, for example, if you're only planning to work on the shape of the apple and you want to hide the inclinations, or the other option would be to hide the entry and exit beads. That way you don't have the green or the red marks or the yellow line and the black beads, the black marks. And that means that you can easily just select one point at a time. And notice that when I select one of these points, that I have the ability to do things like move them, to new locations. I could delete them. Um, I could use the delete key on my keyboard to delete them, or I could select one and right click. And when I right click, I get a little menu. And one of the options there is to delete the point. I can also see that it's a line point, also known as a corner point, and I could change it to a different style of point. And there are four styles: symmetrical, smooth, cusp, and line. So line simply means that when you come to this point, and if I select it and move it, that it will create kind of like a triangle or an angle. But if I right click and ask it, for example, to smooth, now my line is going to be sort of smoothed out. And notice now that when this point is selected, that there are, here, let's just zoom a little closer, what are known as tangent lines. So I could use the tangent lines to adjust the curvature that gets made. And if you want to adjust them independently and not have them kind of affect each other, that's when you choose right click and cusp. Now I can move one of these lines without affecting the other line. And so this is how you can really take control of the shapes of your objects. Notice that the stitching has not updated, and it either needs me to right click or click apply in the properties box to update the stitching to the latest shape and the latest edits that we've made. So in that way, you can select a point, move it. You can also add new ones. Just right click over top of the line and choose to add a new point. And it'll by default come in as a smooth point. But if you want to make it a straight point, then you can come back and change it to line. The fourth choice in that group there was symmetrical. And when you right click and choose symmetrical for your option, let's see here, sorry, right click and choose symmetrical, then it will smooth it and it will also make each side identical. In other words, if I pull out the left side further from the point, it will make the right side equally further from the point to keep your sort of shape curvature symmetrical. So this is the difference. You have your select tool, and when you use your select tool, you have your transformation box. But at any point in time, you can switch to the shape tool to be able to see your shape, actual points that make up your shape, and take control and edit those. And so we hope that you enjoyed this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. Until next week, have a great day and bye for now.